2020 season continuation. Opportunities to find deeper power within ourselves come when life seems most challenging. Once again, we welcome you to Ogtv Main News. The Governor of Ogun State, Prince Dapo Abiodun, has reassured all the workers and the entire people of Ogun State that the current administration will make best endeavors given the prevailing circumstance to deliver on its promises. The Governor gave this assurance on his May Day broadcast to workers and the people of the state. Governor's office correspondent Tunde Olaniro reports that the Governor revealed that the current administration has reviewed the selling price for A.A.K. DEGUN estate and relaxation of terms and conditions of sale at 6% simple interest rate from 18%, as well as refund of 1.5 million naira to some allottees who had completed payment of 7 million naira for a semi-detached 3-bedroom flat. His report.
Every 1st of May is the International Workers' Day celebration, a day set aside to celebrate workers across the globe. The day is often celebrated with pomp and pageantry, but the COVID-19 pandemic has forced a low-key celebration everywhere in the world, including Ogun State. In his broadcast, the Governor of Ogun State, Prince Abiodun, said the commemoration of the 2020 Workers' Day celebration is to appreciate and honor the many sacrifices of the workers to the continued development of the state.
The fight against COVID-19 has brought to the fore the Ogun State spirit and why we are truly trailblazers in Nigeria. The whole world is being ravaged by the novel coronavirus pandemic, and we have had to make definite steps to fight it. While we are committed to ensuring that those who have been infected are provided with effective and efficient Medicare, we are also working assiduously that the virus is not transmitted to those who are not infected. For example, many of our public servants and those in private sector have had to work from home. In all this, we must also salute the courage and professionalism of our workers, especially our healthcare workers and other frontline officers who have continued to put their lives on the line to protect the rest of us. Also, on behalf of the good people of Ogun State, I appreciate all the various security agencies for their continued devotion, resilience, and patriotism. You already are heroes and heroines of this century. We will continue to support you, and we pray for more of your successes in the battlefield. We appreciate you, and we pray that God will continue to protect you in the line of duty to humanity. Let me say in a loud voice that on behalf of the government and entire people of Ogun State, I especially congratulate all the workers of our state in particular and in Nigeria in general. Under the two labor houses, the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, TUC.
He stresses that his administration is irrevocably committed to the welfare of its workers.
We have continued to demonstrate our commitment to the welfare of our workers because they are the nerve center for the policy formulation and successful implementation of our government's programs and projects. It is noteworthy that Ogun State remains one of the few states that completed the negotiation for the implementation of the minimum wage without rancor. Amongst other initiatives we have put in place: 1, regular and prompt payment of salaries before the end of every month. 2, improved work environment by release of running costs to the ministries, departments and agencies and our public schools for administrative efficiency and effectiveness. 3, we reviewed the selling price of A.A.K. DEGUN estate and relaxed the terms and conditions of sale at 6% simple interest from 18%. 4, we refunded 1.5 million naira to some allottees who had completed payment of 7 million for semi-detached 3-bedroom apartments. 5, the ongoing construction of 400 units Princess Court for workers at Kenta Idiaba, Abiodun, of which the first phase of 150 units will soon be delivered. 6, absorption of over 1,218 ASCON officers into the civil service and payment of their 9 months salary arrears. 7, the reabsorption of 28 community schools and 578 teachers in the teaching service. 8, the pardon and reabsorption of some education officers in the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology whose appointments were terminated by the immediate past administration in the wake of the controversial joint seasonal examination of 2015. 9, the release and approval of promotion of arrears of years 2016 and 2017 of over 1,500 teaching and non-teaching staff of the Teaching Service Commission.
The governor reassures all workers and the entire people of the state that his administration will not renege on its promises. May Day celebration is an opportunity for workers to be celebrated and the activities and welfare evaluated for the coming year. Tunde Olaniro, Ogtv News.
Meanwhile, a committee has been set up between Labour and Ogun State government to further improve their cooperation, collaboration, and to ensure hitch-free synergy between the two parties. Governor Dapo Abiodun made this known while addressing the leadership of the labour unions in the state. Governor's office correspondent Tunde Olaniro again reports.
May 1st, 2020 is the first Workers' Day celebration of the current administration in Ogun State. Though COVID-19 pandemic has affected the plans of the current administration to make it a merry one, the governor of Ogun State, Prince Abiodun, deemed it fit to meet with the labor leaders in the state to rub minds together.
And our Nigerian workers would have been doing this celebration at the stadium in style, with pomp and pageantry, in appreciation of the hard work that our workers have continued to do. And the fact that you continue and remain the very important element of any administration. You remain the rock of any administration. But unfortunately, we are faced with, we're in a battle in which the enemy itself is unseen. A battle like none of us have seen in our lifetimes. I believe the last battle of this kind was in 1918, when there was the issue of the flu in 1918. But in our lifetimes, we never anticipated this, we never foresaw it, we didn't plan it. So it's most unfortunate that we're not able to celebrate you like we would have loved to at this point in time.
The governor reiterated his commitment to the welfare of workers in the state.
We are a labor-friendly administration. That much we promised before we assumed office, and that much we have continued to exhibit. Yes, there might be one or two things that are outstanding, that are your expectation of us. But like I also have shared with all in my speech, I have directed that a committee be set up between government and labor, and that committee is meant to be a committee of the whole, meaning that that committee is a committee that should not be seen as either a labor committee or a government committee, but a committee that is charged with the responsibility of ensuring that all the issues that are outstanding between us and labor is resolved and resolved promptly.
After the meeting, the chairman of NLC in Ogun State says the meeting was a fruitful one.
And it has been a wonderful one. And both parties agree that more of this should come up, because we discovered that those burning issues are things that if we sit down together, they are not unsurmountable. So it was a very fruitful one. I hope to build on this for the betterment of the workers in the state. Yes, specific. The workers in the state are interested about the minimum wage. You know, we signed an agreement, and they were expecting that this should be consummated by way of implementation, but that has not happened. And so it was one of those things that we put to His Excellency, and is reassure us again that in fact, he's put in place a committee to look at it. We are aware of the pandemic, we know. So together we look at it, and that next available opportunity we ensure. But we already have an agreement. So we are far, far above others who are still grappling with it. We have agreement, and it's so sacrosanct to both parties. Nothing is going to touch that agreement.
Tunde Olaniro, Ogtv News.
Our sincere apologies for that slight hitch. The 2020 Workers' Day in Nigeria could not be celebrated in an elaborate manner as it used to be due to the outbreak of coronavirus pandemic across the globe. But despite the situation, labor leaders in Ogun State lent their voices on the occasion, urging government to do the needful in making life meaningful for the entire workforce. Idowu Fabajo in the special report takes a look at 2020 Workers' Day celebration, the challenges and economic implications of lockdown on Nigerian workers. His report.
May 1st is International Workers' Day. While the date varies, the month of May is one in which every country celebrates the cogs turning the wheel of its economy. The year 2020 celebration kicked off quite roughly, as the news of a novel coronavirus ravaging the Chinese city of Wuhan filtered through the cracks of the internet. Coronavirus was in full blast mode, shutting down economies of the world. Nigeria is inclusive. On 30th March 2020, President Muhammadu Buhari imposed lockdown in Lagos, FCT and Ogun State. The president further extended the lockdown by another 2 weeks, as the number of confirmed cases continued to rise. Most workers, except those in essential services, switched to working from home. With all these, the elaborate Workers' Day celebration could not be held. OGTV News met with some labor leaders in Ogun State to feel their pulse on the special Workers' Day.
We want to appeal to humanity in our political leaders and other employers of labor to be compassionate and collaborate with labor to ensure job security, preservation of income, and give premium consideration to the workers in distribution of palliative items to cushion the harsh socioeconomic realities brought about by the global pandemic.
60 years after independence, see what is happening. This is the lesson for all. The government of the day need to go back to the drawing board and put things into proper perspective.
They are giving people palliative materials at motor parks, in markets, in villages. The senior citizens are left out.
They have this message for the workers in the state.
As we battle this pandemic, I want to appeal to us to take responsibility and observe social distancing and other precautionary measures recommended by our health professionals.
It is true that our government is trying, but it is not out of place also if our members will go along with all the precautionary measures that has to do with safety in this type of a time.
Let us provide a high level of productivity at our various desks and points.
Every 1st of May is designated as Workers' Day to celebrate the industrious acumen of workers to nation building. The MKO International Stadium, Abiodun, the Ogun State capital, is usually characterized with activities in commemorating the day and filled to the brim. But the reverse is the case in this year's celebration, as the global pandemic, coronavirus, has granted all activities, hence the quiet celebration. Idowu Fabajo, OGTV News.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has congratulated Nigerian workers in commemoration of 2020 International Workers' Day. Gbajabiamila said although the day is being marked quietly across the globe as a result of the lockdown necessitated by the COVID-19 pandemic, there is much to remember about the sacrifices made by Nigerian workers. The Speaker, in a statement signed by his Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Larry Lasisi, commended Nigerian workers for their commitment and dedication to work over the years, which he said has shaped the country tremendously. The Speaker then called on Nigerian workers to be more productive now and always, saying what was achieved before now must be sustained and improved upon. The Nigerian Union of Journalists, NUJ, has felicitated with workers, especially media workers, in this year's Workers' Day celebrations. In a statement by NUJ President Chris Isiguzo, the NUJ specially appreciated Nigerian journalists for their doggedness, professionalism, diligence, and dedication to their professional callings, despite the peculiar occupational hazards they face in the line of duty. The union also urged media workers to take precautionary measures as prescribed by WHO and NCDC on and off duty, while calling on government to provide comprehensive insurance, palliatives, safety kits and hazard allowance for media workers. He concluded by calling for the unconditional release of Kufre Kata, a sport presenter in Uyo, who is presently in DSS detention. In part 2 of the bulletin, Nigerian Air Force steps up fight against banditry, cattle rustling. Join us after the break for more news and reports. The report just reaching us has it that the Ogun State government has announced continuation of the COVID-19 lockdown in the state till Saturday, May 9th, 2020. The lockdown will, however, be relaxed on Monday, Wednesday and Friday of the following week between 7 in the morning and 5 in the evening. Meanwhile, 30% of civil servants in the state are expected to be at work during the window of relaxation. However, circular from the State Head of Service will determine the category of workers expected at work. In line with her commitment towards reaching out to the less privileged in the society, wife of Ogun State Governor Mrs. Bamidele Abiodun has distributed relief materials to the vulnerable in Yoruba South and Ewekoro local government areas of the state to cushion the effect of the lockdown. Adebola Oshomoji covered the distribution exercise and she now reports.
The relief materials are mainly for the people living with disabilities, the aged and widows, courtesy the wife of the state governor, Mrs. Bamidele Abiodun. The distribution exercise held in Ilaro and Ewekoro local government areas of Ogun State was in furtherance of our commitment to reducing the effects of COVID-19 stay-at-home order. The beneficiaries could not hide their feelings as they applaud the initiative.
First lady, I appreciate you. See all the women. Your daughter, your family, Isha Halal, because of this Ramadan, you will make everything. Dapo Abiodun, you will go more.
I would say a very big thank you to her. As she has started this, God will continue to give her more strength. I'm so happy for this.
The distribution of relief materials to indigent persons continues as Mrs. Abiodun promised to reach out to the nooks and crannies of the state. Adebola Oshomoji, Ogtv News.
The government of Ogun State has presented 5,000 face masks to the League of IMAMS and ALFAS as part of efforts to curb the spread of COVID-19 in the state. The state governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, who made the presentation through his chief of staff, HYST, urged the Muslim clerics to emphasize on the importance of compliance to government directive while praying to Allah to bring an end to COVID-19. Governor's office correspondent Tunde Olaniro reports.
It is the holy month of Ramadan, a season of worship to Allah in fasting and prayers. This year's Ramadan is an unusual one owing to the COVID-19 pandemic confronting the globe. To this end, the government of Ogun State presented 5,000 face masks and other items to the League of Imams and Alfas in the state.
This is the time to use various means to communicate to our people. Use of radio, use of television, use of technology, use of WhatsApp groups, so that we can continue to engage our people. We need to be a bit creative at this point in time.
The Chief of Staff to the Governor of Ogun State, Alhaji Salis Shuaibu, who presented the items, urged the religious leaders to sensitize people on social distancing and personal hygiene.
He wants me to thank you for the cooperation and support, particularly for refraining from what ordinarily you have been doing, the Tarawih prayer, the Juma prayer, the congregational prayers in mosque. He wants me to thank you very sincerely for the cooperation you have continued to demonstrate in support of those measures. Please ask our people to keep physical distancing. And of course, as you know, effective today, 1st of May, anyone going out in the public must put on a face mask. It is compulsory in Ogun State. It is part of the measures to flatten the spread of coronavirus. And as people who do ablution 5 times a day in the minimum, he also wants me to enjoin you that now and then you must also wash your hands with soap and water, even before performing ablution.
A.A.K Shuaib admonishes the community leaders in the state to report any stranger in this period of COVID-19 to relevant authority for testing.
Why I'm bringing this up is that as religious leaders, you're also community leaders. If you notice any visitor, the federal government has banned interstate movement, so nobody should be coming from any other state to Ogun State now. If you notice anybody who is a visitor in your community, please let them bring it to the attention of the health authorities in that area so that we can promptly isolate them. In fact, what the governors have agreed now is that if you see such people in Ogun State, take them to the next border, hand them over to the next state. So if somebody has come from Kano through Oyo State, we'll take them to Oyo State. Oyo State will take them from us, hand them over to Oshun, from Oshun hand them to Ekiti until they get back to wherever they are coming from.
The Chief Imam of Ilaro, Alhaji Tajuddin Adeomi, commends the governor for the initiative.
When he came in as the governor, the first thing we observed was his love, his respect and humility for our fathers. He was so good that one would think that he is a sheikh. He respected them and was so generous to us. We thank him so much. Now, when this COVID-19 came in, the way he handled it, we see that he's intelligent. May Allah continue to bless him.
Tunde Olaniro, Ogtv News.
The essence of public-private partnership has again been portrayed as Intercontinental Distillers Limited, makers of alcoholic and non-alcoholic products, extended their hands of support to the Ogun State government in the fight against coronavirus pandemic in the state. Deputy Governor of the state, Engineer Noimot Salako Oyedele, while appreciating the front-running beverage establishment for its contribution, stated that such gesture will ease the state government's effort at providing succor to the vulnerable in the state. Ifesho Sholade's report is presented in this package.
It is no longer news that a lockdown initiated by the federal government is meant to stem the spread of COVID-19 embattling the country. It is to this effect that Intercontinental Distillers Limited, manufacturers of high-quality beverages such as Eagle Schnapps, Chelsea Dry Gin, Action Bitters, the latter non-alcoholic beverage and many others, joined other corporate organizations in contributing its quota by donating thousands of food items and other products to the state government.
In fulfillment of our corporate social responsibility, we are here to make donation of food items to support the government to fight and control coronavirus in the state.
Managing Director, Intercontinental Distillers Limited, Engineer Patrick Anigbe, discloses that the donation is subsequent to distribution of relief packages to Ota and Ilogbok residents, being their host communities.
We have reached out to the immediate community where we operate, the Ota community and the Ilogbok community. We have donated food items to them, and we have also reached out to the motherless babies home in Ota.
Deputy Governor of Ogun State, Engineer Noimot Salako Oyedele, while commending the company's laudable initiative towards partnering with the state, clamored for more sensitization for the public to stay safe.
Also have to continue to engage people across the state on the challenges that COVID-19 continues to pose to us. But nevertheless, we hope that as public partners here in the state will continue to support us in this engagement with people right across the state. Thank you. You said we have related to your immediate communities in our family. Hope that we can continue also with this sensitization in those communities to make sure that the people there also know what it is that is expected of them.
And with relaxation of the lockdown to commence on the 4th of this month, residents are advised to always maintain social distancing, cover up with face masks, and maintain good hygienic and environmental habits.
The federal government has released new guidelines for the new phase of containment of COVID-19 from May 4 to May 17, 2020. Part of the guidelines, which were signed by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, stated that anyone without a face mask in public will be prosecuted. The guidelines were also specific about information to the general public, guidance to state and security agencies, and description of activities allowed under the new phase. The SGF said anyone who presents a temperature of above 30 degrees centigrade will be mandated to return home and call NCDC for evaluation. More Nigerians have been evicted from their apartments in Ganzhou as racial discrimination swelled against Africans in the capital of Guangdong Province, China. A businessman, Chukwudi Asagwa, told journalists that he was evicted from his Beijing district apartment on Wednesday, adding that he complained to the police, but no action had been taken against the landlord. He confirmed that some Nigerians were provided hotel rooms by the Chinese government, noting that those seeking private apartments had yet to secure them. Speaking on behalf of others, Asagwa, who had lived in Guangzhou for 3 years, said they are determined to return to Nigeria due to the maltreatment being meted on them by Chinese authorities and nationals. The Lagos State government on Friday announced the death of a coronavirus patient. This is as an additional 26 coronavirus patients undergoing treatment at the Lagos State isolation centers were discharged. The new recoveries were made known by the Lagos COVID Incident Commander, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. With this, the number of COVID-19 confirmed, managed and discharged in Lagos is now 225. The total number of COVID-19 related deaths in Lagos is now 21. Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje has asked the federal government to relax the 14-day total lockdown imposed on the state. President Buhari had on Monday ordered a total lockdown in the state as part of measures to curb the spread of coronavirus disease in the state. Buhari had also announced the deployment of a team of health experts to the state to address the rising cases of unusual death in the state. Ganduje had immediately hailed the president's decision, saying his increased focus on the state would help the state tackle the pandemic. But speaking at the Government House during the inauguration of a panel to support the Kano State Task Force Technical Committee, the governor highlighted that it is important to relax the lockdown for a while so as to ease the hardship in the state. As Ogun State government begins to implement the compulsory use of nose mask by everyone, the people have started complying with the directive. Ogtv news crew who went around some of the markets and other areas in Abiodun, the state capital, brought back reports that people used the opportunity of the relaxation of lockdown to restock the rooms with essential items. Matthew Shomi reports.
As it is the case in any war situation, the existential battle of human race against the invisible enemy which COVID-19 represents requires that no chance must be given for the enemy to overrun humanity. Hence, the different measures being put in place by every country of the world to curtail the spread of the pandemic. The stay-at-home order is part of the measures put in place by the federal government of Nigeria in Abuja, Lagos, and Ogun states to flatten the curve of the pandemic and safeguard the health of the country. 1 month after the lockdown, the federal government has now decided to partially reopen the states and the economy, but not without necessary precautions, which is why the use of nose mask by everyone who wishes to go out of their residence has now become mandatory. Even though the government is yet to begin to clamp down on anyone without nose mask in the public place, the people have started complying with the directive. Traders and those coming to the market to buy different items were seen wearing face masks, while taxi drivers, commercial motorcycle operators, and others also put on their mask, even though some were still going about without face mask. Roads were clogged and last-minute rush observed in different parts of the state capital as people tried to beat the 2 o'clock deadline for relaxation of lockdown. Matthew Shomi, OGTV News.
Efforts of the current administration in Ogun State towards making the state an industrial hub has again experienced a boost with the agreement with HYST Global Limited for rough taken in massive rice production. This became evident as the Commissioner for Agriculture in the state, Dr. Adiola Odedino, paid a visit to the rice production farm located at Itoki, the boundary line between Ogun and Lagos states. Peter Falomo reports.
Parts of the agenda of Prince Dapo Abiodun-led administration in Ogun State is to ensure that agriculture is given adequate support towards production of food in large quantity. It is on this premise that Commissioner for Agriculture in the state, Dr. Adiola Odedino, led a delegation to the production site of Ogun rice, a product of HYST Global Limited.
This is the polisher. This one to cut the brown part of the rice. This is another polisher. It did the same function, but once this one did not finish the operation, this one will complete the operation.
I've seen investors making errors, putting the structures in place before the machineries are put in place. At the end of the day, they have to demolish some of those sections. So this is a standard practice for the installation of these machineries in this place.
And the team was led to the packaging section, where the parboiled rice is bagged into different kilograms. The company leadership led the delegation to the 50 hectares of land where 30 hectares of rice cultivation was conceded to the Ogun State government.
Yeah, the state government, I wanted to come in as a joint team. We do the planting. We will buy back from them the paddy rice. Paddy rice is harvested that have not been processed. Buy it from them, they take it to our mill at Ogun rice, mill, bag for them, also to sell to the market.
Commissioner for Agriculture, Dr. Adiola Odedino, reacts to the gesture.
We are thrilled that his factory is in the border between Ogun and Lagos, and it's ready to take advantage of the geographical location of the state in doing its business. So we are going ahead with him. We are also excited that we are in the premises of Ogun River Basin Development Authority. The smart investor has already acquired 50 hectares of land, and we are going to assist him with land clearing, and we are going to be assisting him with young farmers who will grow rice from him and also buy from him. And
he calls on more investors to take advantage of window of opportunity provided by the current administration in the state.
So I want to advise all prospective investors in the state that our agenda is proactive in food security issues, create an enabling environment, and then link smart farmers and youth to industry who have installed their machine to take primary products.
The commissioner added that
the government is not relenting in its efforts towards providing sufficient food production during and after COVID-19 pandemic. Peter Falomo, Ogtv News.
In a bid to wipe out banditry in the country, the Nigerian Air Force has completed some facilities, deployed additional personnel and assets to support anti-rustling operations under Operation Adarindaje in Katsina and Zamfara State. Speaking at the ceremony, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, represented by the Air Officer Commanding Special Operations Command, Air Vice Marshal Charles Owo, said the present NAF leadership is addressing the welfare needs of its personnel to motivate them for more effective operations. A statement by the Director of Public Relations and Information, Nigerian Air Force, Air Commodore Ibikunle Daramola, hazarded that the various projects inaugurated is necessitated by the grand presence of NAF operational bases in the 6 geopolitical zones, which is in tandem with federal government efforts to address the security challenges facing the country. Also speaking, the Governor of Zamfara State, Alhaji Bello Matawali, represented by his deputy, Muhammad Gusau, commended the efforts of the welfare needs of its personnel, especially in containing security threats in the state. The Commander 207 Quick Response Group, Air Commodore Adindu Ekwuribe, appreciated the NAF leadership for its untiring efforts in boosting personnel morale and therefore pledged to work assiduously in ensuring a secured environment. The Armed Forces of Nigeria, through the Air Task Force of Operation Lafayette, in furtherance of its objective of restoring peace and security in the northeast of the country, has again neutralized some Boko Haram terrorists. The Air Task Force equally destroyed some of the logistics facilities at Periso in Sambisa Forest area of Borno State. The airstrike, in a statement by the coordinator, Defense Media Operations, Defense Headquarters, Major General John Anache, was executed as a precursor to further air and ground operations conducted after intelligence reports. The report revealed that the terrorists had resumed use of the settlement as a staging area to launch attacks against nearby troops' locations. The statement adds that recent aerial surveillance missions had also shown significant terrorist activities in the area, while identifying some compounds housing the fighters and their logistics. Consequently, the Air Task Force dispatched its fighter jets to attack the location with Nigerian Air Force jets, taking turns to engage the target area and scored accurate bomb and rocket strikes, resulting in the destruction of some of the structures, as well as the killing of several terrorists. The Armed Forces of Nigeria has therefore pledged to continue to sustain the offensive onslaught against the enemies of the country until peace and normalcy are restored in all parts of the country. On business news segment, trading activities at Nigerian Stock Exchange and on positive note in April. Details after the break. Welcome back. This is the business segment of the news. The International Monetary Fund has said Nigeria's oil and gas exports are expected to fall by at least $26.5 billion this year as a result of the coronavirus-induced sharp drop in prices and demand. The IMF approved the country's request for emergency financial assistance of $3.4 billion on Tuesday. In a detailed report regarding the request released late on Wednesday, the Washington-based fund warned that Nigeria remained exposed to rising risk, particularly in oil markets. The IMF said rising unsold cargoes could also impact oil production, which could decline further because of the production cut deal led by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, or if prices were remained below production costs. Nigeria's indigenous oil and gas producers, as well as several deposit money banks operations, may be heading towards a near collapse following the inability of the companies to meet their debt service obligations to the DMBs since the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic in the country. The oil and gas companies' failure to service their debts may have been exacerbated with the prevailing regime of low oil prices occasioned by the global coronavirus pandemic. According to a recent CBN Financial Stability Report, commercial and merchant banks' loans exposure to the oil sector is estimated at about 1.6 trillion naira. Trading activities on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange finished the month of April on the positive route as the all-share index and market capitalization appreciated by 0.67%. Consequently, the ASI grew by 156.61 basis points or 0.67% from 22,868.40 index points the previous day to 23,021.01, while market capitalization of equities appreciated by 80 billion naira to close at 11.997 trillion naira from 11.917 trillion naira. On the activity charts, premium subsector dominated in volume terms with 187.47 million naira shares exchanged in 2,303 deals. The subsector was enhanced by the activities in the shares of FB, Federal First Bank of Nigeria and Access Bank PLC. UK reaches 100,000 daily test mark of coronavirus. Join us for details on the world today. Welcome back. This is the foreign segment. The Indian government has said it will extend its nationwide lockdown for another 2 weeks after May 4, but will allow considerable